Thanks for joining today for my talk. We're going to be talking about recommender systems, product recommendations, specifically for fashion retailers, but using a slightly different approach. So we jump straight into it. If you think about personalization and specifically hyper-personalization, you typically think about these large-scale recommender systems. So you get either on a website or you get direct marketing campaigns through email or WhatsApp, and they're very hyper-personalized to the customer. There's a lot of issues with these approaches. They're very good, but you require a significant amount of data, historic data on your customer. I mean, the last speaker was talking about how their platform has personalization and AI, and how it uses hundreds of features on customers. But they actually need those hundreds of features. They need all that historic data on the customer. If the customer's first time to your store, you don't necessarily have that information. If you don't have the infrastructure and the engineering around collecting and sorting that data, it becomes quite difficult to make these recommendations. It's very dependent on history, because you're looking at past historic behavior of the customer to make those recommendations. And sometimes it can be very dependent on product tagging or customer tagging, segmentation. So there's a lot of problems with these recommendation systems. Although they're used prevalently in the market, they do have a lot of shortcomings. On a lot of e-commerce platforms, they have these typical recommendations, related products, trending products. The way that these AI algorithms work is they're not actually AI, they're just association rules. So typically what happens is it's basically just a rule that says people who previously looked at these products are like you, therefore show these products to you, or you've been buying this product, other people who bought this product also bought these other products. So it just makes these association and matching rules, very simplistic algorithms. Trending products, and as you can imagine, it just looks at what is currently selling in the store. So quite basic algorithms, has a lot of shortfalls. I mean, minimal data requirements. You can usually just click a plugin, install it, and it's live on your website, and it gives you some basic form of recommendations. But a lot of problems with that. A different approach to do recommenders, specifically for fashion retailers, is using computer vision. So how does this work exactly? So what you could do is you could take your entire product catalog, absorb that into a system that uses computer vision and natural language processing to really understand the visual attributes, and if there is text, the descriptive attributes of your products, and then make recommendations based off of that. So it's almost as akin to going into a fashion store. So imagine you go into a store and you're looking at a specific white shirt, and the sales assistant says, oh, you like that white shirt, here's other shirts like that, here's maybe different materials. You select the shirt you like, and as you're walking to the cashier with the sales assistant, if they're a good sales assistant, they might say, you know what suits that shirt is this bow tie or that pair of shoes, and they try upsell you on that purchase on the way out. They don't necessarily have any historic information on you, but you are showing intent in the store. You have some sort of purpose for being there. And if you use computer vision and absorb your product catalog, you can make those same recommendations. So here you have things like this denim outfit. This can go through computer processing algorithms, and the jacket actually gets removed from the model, and then that jacket has certain style attributes to it: the color, the shape, the material. You can find similar garments to that. You can find items that you can style it with, or even complete outfits. So the great thing about this is there's minimal data requirements. You don't need any historic data on your customer. It's not dependent on history. It's dependent on what's happening in the moment. What is your customer engaging with or showing intent on? It's not dependent on your typical product tagging. So if you don't have any tags, you don't have any text information, you should at least have an image of your product, and all the information can be absorbed from that image. So there's no human kind of tagging the image in that process. And you have no cold start problem. So cold start problem is what happens if a new customer comes to your store or you launch a new product. It's sometimes difficult to make recommendations on that because you don't have that historic information. But this, you don't need that historic information. You just need the current intent from the customer. Here's a breakdown of how it would work. So let's say your customer's currently looking at this product on your e-commerce store, so they have some sort of intent to buy a black dress. This can go through the various processing steps using computer vision, remove the model from the image, isolate the garment, maybe the hairs overlapping the garment, so there needs to be some repairing to the image to fully understand what the garment looks like. And then you can make recommendations on visually similar products. So you can already see that the customer's looking for this type of black dress. Here's the other black dresses we have in stock. Or you can open up the recommendations and say, here's all the other dresses we have in stock, or here's all the other black products we have in stock, depending on exactly what you want to do. In the same vein, you take the same picture. What would you want to wear this with? This dress has certain style attributes that can be learned through computer vision. So there's a certain style from that. And the way that we do that is we've taken hundreds of thousands of other outfits and actually removed the garments from the models wearing those complete outfits, and understand that there's certain interconnectivity between the different garments through different styles and attributes. So if you take this as a seed image and your customers perhaps looking at this, you can actually complete the look and find other items from other product categories, but would share the same style and would complete the look. Again, no sort of historic data is needed from the e-commerce store, because all of this information is already built up from trawling the internet and understanding millions of different outfits and different styles. Shop the color. So sometimes you don't have the tagging of the color in your e-commerce store, and using computer vision you can actually extract the color out of the garment, and then you can make recommendations based on that. There's a lot of sports brands that like to do these types of recommendations. So you're looking at a specific color, here's other products in our product catalog of the same color. I think the ladies like to buy a few things in the same color when they go out to make some sort of matching outfit. Gentleman shaking his head. No, you agree, you don't agree? But you can also do it with two colors. So these garments actually have two colors in them, and you can also do a dual match on the color based on that. You could also go 3 and 4 and 5 and 6, but then it gets very computationally expensive and a little bit confusing. But even on a couple of colors, it works pretty well, and you can make interesting recommendations. On top of this, you could apply some filters. So maybe if someone's looking at blue spandex, you don't necessarily want to recommend blue lip balm. But you can obviously constrain those recommendations with some business rules on top of that, so to make it quite flexible. So I got 2 case studies now. The first one is Wetsuit Warehouse. So in South Africa, Wetsuit Warehouse is the #1 surf, beach, wetsuit online store, and they have physical stores. And on their e-commerce platform, they're using WooCommerce. WooCommerce comes with its own set of recommendations, but it is those recommendations that we spoke about at the beginning. So very dependent on historic information. It's quite limited in its scope and what it can recommend. And what we did is we did an A/B test between using the visual attributes of all the products versus the WooCommerce recommendations. And here's like an A/B test of that exact store. So customer comes in, they're looking at this spring romance ladies dress, and the recommendations from the typical WooCommerce plugin is these Birkenstock shoes. So the reason it's doing that is because other people who bought that dress perhaps also bought those Birkenstock shoes, but it's kind of a little bit disjointed from what the customer's currently looking at. Whereas our recommendations were taking the visual attributes of that garment and then recommending other garments that are similar to that, depending on what's in stock and what is available. So a little bit more relevant to the current customer journey and customer experience. Another example is this ladies reef wetsuit, and you can see the recommendations that come as the standard plugin were men's wetsuits, kind of a different style. The reason it's making those recommendations is because it didn't have enough historic data on the female wetsuits, so it just took what are the most popular products that are selling at the moment. It's men's wetsuits. But if you're a lady and you're looking at a lady's wetsuit, I doubt these are going to be very relevant to you in the current customer journey. Whereas you can see using the visual attributes and some of the text description and information, you can actually recommend more similar products to that. So this customer is now looking for a female wetsuit. We understand that intent. Here's other female wetsuits in different brands or different cuts or different shapes that maybe be of interest. And the last one here, so some sheepskin shoes, pretty popular in South Africa. And you can see here, again, it's just recommending Birkenstock shoes. So on the WooCommerce plugin, the intent is customers looking at shoes. These are the other high-selling shoes, but you can see it's kind of disjointed. If you're looking for sheepskin shoes, you're not necessarily currently looking for Birkenstock. It's even recommending an out-of-stock product, I just noticed now. Whereas if you take the visual attributes of the garment or the item, you can recommend other similar shoes, maybe slightly different colors or styles or cuts, depending on what's available in stock. So in this A/B test, here's some of the results that we saw just by showing some more relevant recommendations for this particular store. We managed to double the conversion rate, and in that period of time, it was their best month ever, even beat out their Black Friday months. So the two most important metrics I think to look at here is the doubling of the conversion rate and a 70% increase in revenue, which is quite significant. So kind of off a low base because their conversion rate was quite low, but it is a bit of a high-end store. Customers who are visiting that store, they have a lot of disposable income. You can almost see it as a bit of a luxury purchase, sportswear and wetsuits. So that's the first case study that I wanted to show today, and the second case study is for Ackermans. So Ackermans is part of the Pepkor Group, which in South Africa is the largest retailer in the country. They keep telling me largest in terms of market share, sales, stores. So they like their largest. They're largest in everything, apparently. On their website, they didn't have any recommendations. They use Magento as their e-commerce platform. And they had a bit of a problem getting recommendations to work in their environment, and when they reviewed them, it was a little bit disjointed to what the customer was currently looking at. So we quite quickly, within a week, we created just a little widget, Magento widget, which would connect to our API and pull in the recommendations. And the other thing that we did is, because they struggled to get data out of their platform, we actually just scraped their website. So without any sort of formal integration with Ackermans back end to get the product information, we just scrape all their website, absorb all the product images, any sort of text that is available. So we reverse engineer basically the Magento API, and we can create these recommendations. And then we created just a little widget that took about a week to install on their website that then goes and pings to get these visual recommendations. So in this example here, the customer's perhaps shopping for their child, or it's a small child shopping for themselves, I'm not quite sure. But it doesn't matter, because the intent is this particular person is looking at a Peppa Pig track top, blue, and here's visually similar products. So other Peppa Pig tops or other tops with print or similar fabric. And then there's a complete the look. So taking the visual attributes of this product, here's an outfit that you can create using that, some jeans and some shoes. And then taking the color out of this garment, which is a little bit multicolored, but you can also make recommendations based on the similar colors in the particular garment. And you can actually see there's a matching pair of Peppa Pig tracksuit pants that are available. The second example is a lady's green dress. So this shopper is obviously looking for a dress. It would be kind of difficult to sometimes make recommendations based on this, because you might have a mother that is buying for her family, and often what happens on those other e-commerce plugins with the recommendations is you have a mother coming in, buying a dress for herself, buying jeans for her husband, buying nappies for her kid, and then you come along, you're a single lady, you maybe don't have a husband, don't have kids, and now you shop and you're getting recommended jeans and nappies, and you're like, why am I getting recommended this? It's because sometimes those signals don't really make sense for your current intent and your engagement on the site. Whereas this, you can see it's quite curated. It's almost as if you're talking to a sales assistant. So customers looking at the green dress, here's other dresses that we have in stock using the visual attributes of the image. And you'll notice they also don't have a lot of text descriptions on their website, so it kind of works great for them. And then you can complete the look with a red handbag and a green pair of smart shoes. And then using that same color extracted from the image, here's other green items that we have in stock. So maybe you're looking for a green purse or a green handbag or green underwear, perhaps to match this dress, you can get that. So Ackerman's results, I think the two main ones to look at is the average revenue per user increased by 16% within the first month. And the conversion rate, or the purchases per user, increased by 28%, which was great for them, and those were the results. So that is the end of the presentation. Thank you very much. And this is we've actually now turned this into a product. It's called Keks, which means trousers, and it also means cakes, so it's sweet trousers. And we're busy integrating with a couple other stores, and if you're interested in this particular product, we've got some time for questions now, about 8 minutes, so if there are any questions, otherwise we can chat afterwards. Yeah, thanks. I hope that was interesting and gave you a different perspective on recommender systems and the way to do product recommendations.
Hi, thanks for the talk. You focused very heavily there on the use case for this service or this approach being fashion clothing. Is there any other use cases, any other product types that you think this would work well with?
Yeah, so I think definitely homeware, anything that has a lot of visual attributes. So fashion, obviously, homeware would definitely work. But we also have looked at other use cases, like even technology, because you can absorb text information as well. So if you think about a phone, a lot of phones kind of look the same, you know, square, black square. But if you kind of blend that with the text information and you make recommendations based on that, you can do that. The other thing that we've kind of been looking at is, because at the moment we absorb a lot of outfit information and then can make recommendations on how to complete that outfit. If we tap into other baskets of curated goods, so you know, maybe there's the one that we looked at is actually in a hardware. So if you buy like a drill, you also want the drill bits and the drill pieces or whatever. If you can get that information in a nice curated way, you can also pull that in and then use the same type of logic. Any other questions? Anyone learn anything new or seen this before? Good. We're done. Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to talk. Oh, thank you. Thanks.